Hi loves, I hope you're all doing amazing today. So in this video we're going to talk about the importance of placing yourself first before anything external, okay? And I'm not talking about selfishness, right? I'm not talking about necessarily being selfish, although some people can view it as such, right? But what I'm talking about is choosing yourself, and that means even if you have to be alone, okay? And that means even if you have to break bad habits or relationships that are no longer serving you, right? Even if it means that these people were friends with you since you were a child, even if it means breaking away from those, okay? Sometimes we place ourselves um, sometimes we place ourselves last when really we should be placing ourselves first, okay? Oftentimes many of us are people pleasers, right? And whether we were raised this way, right, or we just became like this because of societal expectations and societal pressures, and just or because don't we have lost touch with ourselves and we don't necessarily really even like ourselves, right? And so in turn we start caring too much about what other people think of us, right? And so we, rather than placing the importance on where it should be, right? As in building a great relationship with ourselves and maintaining that, we we place external relationships on a pedestal, okay? Forgetting that a relationship with ourselves is what matters the most, right? And that can never be taken away from us, really, unless of course we let it, right? And really, so this is, so this video is going to be about this, right? You guys, I wanted to talk to you about this because, society has most things backwards, okay? The things that are one way are usually seen in a completely different light, right? So the truth is hidden, right? But because of the age that we're living in right now, right, the truth is going to be and is being revealed to many people, okay? And in turn, this will give us all an opportunity to heal, to connect on a much deeper level, to connect not only with just ourselves, right, and to heal not only just within, but to start connecting better with one another, to start healing the planet too, right, and the animals that are in it, right? And so it's a great, the truth, right, as they say, sets us free, right? And it absolutely does. It does, right? So yeah. Anyway, so back to the socialization, right? Back to friendships, right? And back to the importance of just saying screw it and staying alone, okay? And I think I'm going to talk about romantic relationships too here, okay? So not just friendships, like platonic friendships, right? So we're gonna talk about both, okay? Because I believe society places way too much importance on external relationships, right? Like, for example, if you're not in a relationship as a woman, for example, right? In many countries, it's considered like, wow, that's it, she failed, right? Like, she's single, right? She's a single mom, right? Or she's a single parent, or she's just single, right? Maybe she's childless, right? Or she's childless because she chose to be, right? Or she's childless by choice, right? So that's considered taboo, and especially in many other countries besides the West, right? In the Western countries, it's a little bit more acceptable, right? But not so much in the Eastern countries. And so, but I have something interesting to tell you, right? We are already complete, guys, okay? A human being, right, is, first of all, we have the masculine and the feminine in us, okay? It's just, um, it's just what we choose to operate in for most of the time, right? So sometimes a female can be a little bit more masculine, right? Or a male can be a little bit more feminine, right? Because he's operating in that energy. We can always shift back, right? And we usually do. Both sexes tend to shift from one to another, right? And that's actually needed. It's needed in order to even build a good relationship with the opposite sex, right? That's needed. That shift, that going back and forth between the masculine and the feminine is necessary. You know, just imagine a guy, right, who is like, is incomplete, like is always in his masculine, right? Like, and what that means, I suppose, is he's aggressive, he is unemotional, right? He is stoic, he is like unyielding, right? Imagine if he started out, he started a relationship like this, or he tried to start a relationship like this with a woman, right? She would get scared of him. She would think like, this guy, he's not smiling, he looks like he's about to like kick my ass or something like that. You know, he looks like he's about to like eat me, right? Like, and I don't mean in a good way. Like, I mean it in like an aggressive way, right? And so that's why what I'm saying is that the guy has to also go, in order to be approachable, right, with the woman, he needs to combine that masculinity with that femininity too, okay? And yeah, so and same with females, right? I can give you many examples that have to do with that too, right? And so guys, we in this sense also, right, we're already complete, okay? And I also have to mention something else, right, is that disconnect from source, right, that thing, that connection, that deep connection that we're all searching for, and that we think is in one place but really is in another, okay? That's the key also to sorry, I have hair on my lip again. Yeah. Okay, too many cats. Anyway, so that connection, right, that connection that we all seek, that other half that seems to be missing, right, is found by connecting to source, right? We've been disconnected from source because of the ways of the world. We've got caught up in the ways of the world. We got disconnected because of sin, right? Because we fell into sin. It's like that story, The Sleeping Beauty, right? And I was going to discuss this story in detail, right? But it has to do with the Snow White, right? The story of Snow White and the seven dwarfs, right? The seven dwarfs are actually the seven sins, right? That we fell into, right, as beings of light, right? Hence the name Snow White, right? Snow White is like the Christ consciousness, right? That, or the light beings that we all are, right? Only we're asleep to it because we fell into sin, right? So Snow White fell asleep because she bit the apple, as in started sinning, basically, right? And so because of sin, we lose touch from source, from that connection to ourselves. we begin to self-destruct, basically, okay? And so, hence the Prince Charming, right? Well, really, it's not in that story. The prince is the one that wakes her up to her true self, but really, it's not the prince, right? It's herself. She has to wake up to her own divinity, to her own light, to her own. It's the kiss from the true love, right? The true love, that means you have to be able to fall in love with yourself all over again in order to recognize who you are, or come to source again, in order to connect to the divinity of all that you are, right? And so you have to step away from the sin, okay? And so this is exactly what this story was about, right? And anyways, guys, so the reason why I talked about the story, hold on, oh my gosh, I just forgot. But anyways, the reason why I'm talking about the story, right, is that it has a lot to do with what our world is like, right? Our world is not godly anymore, right? It is full of sin, right? Especially in America, guys, okay? And I will discuss this a little bit later on. But because of that, the majority of the people that are living on this earth, right, are lost. They're lost in sin. They're sleeping. They're like sleeping beauties, right? Like in that story. So they don't possibly know the truth. They can't possibly know the truth, okay? And so you know, the ones that are lost, right, are also going to they're going to try to drag you along with them, right? And so hence the beauty of stepping away from all that's trying to sink you, okay, to the bottom, right? And that means your friends, your so-called friends, right? That means your so-called decent family, right? Most of us, many of us actually have very dysfunctional families, right? That are also very, very lost and are pretty much asleep, okay, to who they are. So they're lost in sin too, okay? And so those that are lost, those that are asleep are going to try to keep you asleep too, okay? They're not gonna be like the Prince Charming who wakes you up to your true self. No way, right? They can't possibly do that because they don't know who they are, right? So they can't possibly bring you closer to the truth of who you are, okay? And that's why sometimes it's extremely important to break away from all the conditioning, right, that we've been taught ever since we were kids, basically, right? Like the first thing that happens when I tell people that, you know, I want to homeschool my child, right, is that they say, oh, what about this, you know, him socializing with other kids, right? He's gonna be antisocial, right? Oh my goodness, right? So what? So what? You know, like I said, okay, society is lost, okay? And this world is not just physical, it's spiritual. Spiritually, we're lost. We're deep in sin. We don't understand the implications that doing the thing that our actions are having on our spirituality. We don't understand the implications, the physical, the spiritual implications that can happen and do happen when we sin, right? When we're deep in sin, when we're engaged in sin, okay? And so this is the problem with society today. And so socializing is not necessarily a good thing, okay? Because people that are lost will try to keep you lost too, even if unconsciously, right? So they're going to try to get you to do the things that they're doing too, right? Without necessarily consciously realizing that the things that they're doing are bad, right? Or harmful, okay? And so it is better now to be, to socially distance yourself, okay? To socially distance so you can wake up to your true self, okay? Um, so yeah, you know, I had to, one more thing that I wanted to mention, right, is that oftentimes, right, people are operating in their ego still, right? Especially when they're still very much unaware, asleep to who they are, right? So they've built this false image of themselves, right? And so they're going to try to, when in friendships with you, they're going to try to compete with you, you know? So there won't be any true connection anyways, right? Something that we all crave in relationships, right? And so you're going to have to deal with that too, right? So you're going to have someone who's always competing with you. And do you really want that? Not really, right? Or also, right, oftentimes we have friendships, right? Because we want to say that we have friends, right? Maybe people, I don't know, maybe, you know, other people are asking us, oh, okay, do you have any friends? Who are your friends, right? Maybe you don't feel confident enough to say like, oh, I actually have no friends, you know? So maybe you're lacking that confidence, you know, that comes from standing alone and saying, okay, I actually don't have any friends because I've developed a great relationship with myself, right? Because I have standards now, right? Because I'm very careful in who I let into my life, because I know the people that are going to come into my life are going to influence my life. And I don't want that influence to be a negative one, right? Or it can have something to do with energy too, right? Wrong people can also negatively influence your energy, right? Which in turn keep you from getting God's blessings, or keep you from manifesting the things that you want into your life, okay? Because that mixture of energy is going to keep you on a lower vibration, right? Or it's going to interfere with your own energy, okay? Guys, this is not a joke, okay? I noticed this with my clients, okay, guys? Whenever I started to hang out with the wrong people, right? Well, not hang out, but engage like almost every single day, right? Whenever I started to engage with them, I noticed that I didn't get as many students anymore. And I was like, what is going on? Is this season should be like a really busy one for me, right? Like what's going on, right? After I cut those people out of my life, right? I quickly realized that after I started doing more meditations, after I started clearing my energy more, right? I realized that like I just have so much demand now, you know, that I cannot even keep up, basically, you know. So, yeah, guys, energy is super, super real, whether you want to believe it or not, okay? It affects your clients if you're an entrepreneur, if you're, you know, self-employed, right? It affects your clients even if you're not self-employed, right? If you're, you know, sorry, if it affects your clients if you're an entrepreneur, right? So it affects the people that you attract into your life, right? It affects pretty much everything, okay? It can even affect you and, for example, if you're single, it can affect you attracting the right, or your soulmate, you know, or the person that's meant to be in your life, who will understand you like no other, right? Who is like an energetic match in pretty much every way, right? So it can affect you attracting that kind of person into your life too, okay? So you have to be really, really careful in the circles that you keep, in the people that you associate with, right? And especially the romantic relationships that you let into your life, okay? Because once again, right, boredom, right? If you're bored, if you want to get laid, okay, if you, you know, if your sex drive is through the roof, right, and you don't know what to do with it, my advice is to, you know, sexual energy is creative energy, right? So get to creating, you know, start businesses, put that energy into creative outlets, right? If your sex drive is really high, that means you've got a lot of life force, you've got a lot of energy, right? So you can go and use that energy in order to create something, you know, create, I don't know, you know, start hobbies if you already have a business, right? Help other people, volunteer, you know, do something, create projects, right? Guys, you know, if you've got great hands, start building things, you know, maybe start something for kids. I don't know, right? Just put that energy to use. You don't have to, like, don't use that energy to get a quick boost of dopamine, right? Like watching porn, right, or something like that. That's not, you know, that's not going to help you in any way, okay? It might, you know, be an instant gratification, right? But as we all know, instant gratifications are, they tend to lead to bad consequences, right? Or bad long-term results, right? So yeah, guys, that's pretty much it, okay? Just be careful of the company that you keep, and don't just get into a relationship, whether friendship or a romantic relationship, just to say that you have one, okay? Or just because you're bored, or just because you're lonely, maybe you don't have a place to stay, or maybe your sex drive is too high, so you want sex, right? There are many ways to get around all of those issues that you're experiencing, you know. Loneliness is not permanent, right? It's temporarily, and sometimes it's good to be alone. In most cases, it is good to be alone, right? And I mentioned why, right? You can actually build a better relationship with yourself, and dive into the depths of who you are. And loneliness or being alone can help you discover what you actually are, okay, as a human being. And that's something far greater than a meat suit, okay? So yes, guys, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Peace out, okay?